Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. My name is David Points, and I am representing the defendant, Hector Perez, in the charge of aggravated rape. Hector Gomez is a good man. Hector Gomez met and fell in love with Angela Perez, the mother of the victim. Hector Gomez loved Ms. Perez and the victim equally. Mr. Gomez displayed his love to his new family by asking for the hand in marriage of Ms. Perez. Additionally, Mr. Gomez added to his new family by having a child with the victim's mother. Hector Gomez did whatever he had to do to provide and protect for his new family. In some cases, in order to provide for a family, a person has to search in various cities and states to find employment in order to provide financial support for his or her family. This realization was especially difficult for Mr. Gomez because now he had established a home and a family in Texas. However, Mr. Gomez took various jobs across the states of Florida and Louisiana trying to find employment in order to provide for his family. After a tireless search, Mr. Gomez came upon steady employment in Louisiana. The difficulty in securing this job was the fact that now Mr. Gomez would have to ask his family, which included the victim's mother, and Mr. and Mrs. Gomez's newborn, to move from Texas to Louisiana to be with him. The move to be with Mr. Gomez was not an issue for the newly Ms. Gomez, but a problem arose when Ms. Gomez had to explain to the victim that the victim had to leave her home to be with her new family. The victim had to depart from her friends, grandparents, cousins, and biological father. Needless to say, the victim did not want to leave the only home that she had known. The victim's mother had to explain to the victim that her new husband had obtained a job in another place. Therefore, the family had to leave home to go to be with Mr. Gomez. The victim resented Mr. Gomez for making her leave home. When the victim arrived in Louisiana to live with her new family and her new father and family, she was not the least bit receptive to the unfamiliar environment, which is to be understood for a young child who has been displaced from the only home she knows. To compound this resentment from the victim, she felt as though she was being neglected from her parents. Mr. Gomez and the victim's mother had just had a newborn baby, and the victim felt as if her parents were dedicating more time and attention to the newborn than they were of her. For about 6 years of coming into acquaintance with Mr. Gomez, at no time did the victim ever identify to her mother or superior that Mr. Gomez inappropriately touched her. It is reasonable to believe that most children between the ages of 5 through 11 can identify that something is wrong when a child is asked whether an adult is allowed to touch them on their protected areas. It is reasonable to believe that children between the ages of 5 through 11 are aware that there could be consequences for the action of unwarranted touching of those protected areas. However, it would not be reasonable to believe that most children between the ages of 5 through 11 understand that the consequences of those actions could lead to prison time for an accused. The victim, whom was a child, falsely accused Mr. Gomez because she knew there could be consequences for a wrongful action. The victim was not happy in Louisiana, so the victim decided to do whatever was necessary in order to get back to her first home that was occupied with her family and friends. By making this decision to do whatever it took, the victim falsely accused Mr. Gomez of a heinous act when the victim was presented with an idea from viewing a video in school. Not only did the victim falsely accuse Mr. Gomez, but the victim's fabrication has subjected Mr. Gomez to unwarranted scrutiny and conviction for something that he did not do. As a parent to the victim, Mr. Gomez tried to do everything in his power to make sure the victim was provided for and protected. However, the victim could not accept her new environment and new family, and now as a result of her unacceptance, she has falsely accused and tarnished the name of a respectable man that only desired the best for the victim and his family. The evidence presented today from the prosecution will display that the burden of proof necessary for a charge of aggravated rape against Mr. Gomez is not conceivable. The victim falsified a claim against Mr. Gomez out of dislike and anger, and Mr. Gomez's conviction should be vacated. Thank you.